I am really scared that someone will find out. Please do not tell anyone. I am begging you, do not tell anyone about this. No one should know what is going on. Please keep this a secret. No one can ever know. The words did not sound like something the person was asking for. The words sounded like a decision. The words of this message did not sound like a request. They sounded like a verdict that was already made about the situation with the words. She was standing still in the middle of the apartment. The pregnancy test was shaking in her fingers. It had 2 lines on it that you could not miss. These lines were like a fact that would not go away. She had thought about this moment times before. She had thought she might feel scared or surprised. Maybe she would even feel happy. She had not thought he would look at her like that. His eyes had changed away. They did not look warm like they usually did when it was dark. Now they looked cold. Like he was thinking really hard about something. The pregnancy test was still in her fingers. She was still looking at the 2 lines. For 3 years, she had been invisible. She worked behind the scenes, making sure everything ran smoothly. She fixed problems that could have cost a lot of money. She made sure all the meetings happened at the right time, even when people were in different parts of the world. The company thought he was the one doing all the work. Really, she was the one holding everything together. During the day, she was like any other assistant, being nice and getting things done. At night, she was the one person. He could really talk to, the only place he could be himself. Until today, he walked back and forth in the room like a man who was stuck in his thoughts. He kept running his hands through his hair, which was normally perfectly styled. Now it was all messy because he was so worried. He was talking about his family. What people would think of him. He was talking about the people at the board and the press, and the people who had invested money in his company. He was talking about everything. He did not say a word about the baby that was growing inside her. The baby was the one thing he did not talk about. And in that moment, something inside her cracked. She realized that this was not a fear of scandal. She knew that the fear of scandal was something that people usually felt when they were worried about what others would think. This was different. This was something. She realized that this was not the fear of scandal that was bothering her. This was fear of truth. 3 years earlier, when she first walked into the office, building made of glass and steel, she did not think she would get anything more than money for working. The development company she worked for was really important in the city. She came from a family where people had to work to survive. They did not have time to think about what they wanted to do in life. They just wanted to be safe and have food to eat. She dressed in clothes, spoke in a quiet voice, and worked really hard, harder than anyone else in the room. She worked for the development company, did her job very well. Nobody saw what happened. The thing just went by. No one noticed. It was like it was not there. No one paid any attention to the thing. The thing just, that was it. Nobody noticed the thing all. Except for that one person, though. Even he did not realize it at first. She was the one who stayed late without being asked. This woman caught errors before they turned into problems. She really understood the business. It was not something she knew about from reading papers. She just knew it. When they had meetings, she stood behind him, giving out papers, filling up coffee cups, and her smart ideas were hidden behind a smile that made her look like she was just being nice. To the world, he was the genius. She was just the shadow. That night was the night of his father's funeral. Everything changed. The funeral was a sad time for him, and it was the night when everything changed for him and his family. His father's funeral was the night that changed everything for him. The rain just would not stop it. It was pouring down on everyone, getting all the black coats completely wet. She had only gone to the funeral because she felt like she had to. She was standing at the edge of the crowd, being very quiet. She was ready to slip away without anyone noticing her. Then she saw him go outside by himself. His shoulders were all hunched over, and you could tell the rain was not the thing that was weighing him down. He was dealing with a lot of sadness, and the fact that he had a lot of money did not make the pain of losing someone any easier. For the grieving man, the grief was still really tough for him to handle. She knew that empty feeling away. The emptiness was something she recognized instantly. It was a feeling she was familiar with. That emptiness. Loss is something that everyone can understand. It is a feeling that people over the world know about. Loss speaks a language that can affect anyone, no matter who they are or where they come from. This is because loss is a part of life, and everyone experiences loss at some point. Loss is a feeling that can be very sad and painful. It is also something that can bring people together, because loss speaks a universal language. She followed him into the rain without thinking about it. She offered him her coat. She did not say anything. He said no to the coat. He was happy she was there with him. They just stood there together, not saying a word. The rain made everything around them blurry. They stood like that until he finally spoke up. The rain was still coming down. They were still standing there, but now he was talking. He said this quietly. I never told him that I thought he was a person, he whispered. The thing is, I thought I had time to do it later. She did not try to fix his pain. She did not offer him any words to make him feel better. She just stayed with him. When he actually looked at her, really took a look at her. For the very first time, something changed forever with the woman. He saw her in a new way, and this was something that could never be undone. It was a moment that would always be remembered. A moment that changed everything about the woman and him. That kiss under the rain was not about wanting someone. It was about feeling really alone and scared. The kiss was two people who felt lonely, and they were holding on to each other because they wanted to feel something real when everything around them felt empty and sad. That kiss under the rain was two people trying to find comfort in each other when they were surrounded by things that were not alive. They did not go back to the mansion that night. They went to her apartment instead. It was small and warm and real. This was a place that was not affected by what people thought of her or what they expected from her. They did not say much to each other. They did not need to say much. What happened between them felt like it was meant to happen. It felt like they were drawn to each other like gravity was pulling them together. Her apartment was a place where they could just be themselves, without worrying about what other people thought. What happened between them felt like something they decided to do, and more like something that was always going to happen. That night was not the time he came back. He kept coming after that night. The man would come back night after night. That night was just the beginning of his visits. He kept coming to the place, and that night was the start of it all, the night that he kept coming back. At first they thought it was, for a little while. They said that when people are sad they do things. Time kept going. Weeks turned into months. During the day he barely even looked at her, except when he had to for work. At night, though, he would hold her really tight, like she was the thing that kept him from falling apart. He held her like she was the thing that kept him connected to the world. She knew that this situation was not going to go on. The woman was aware that things would eventually come to an end. She knew that the good times would not last. Men like him did not choose women like her in public. They did not do it out in the open. Women like her were part of a world that worked quietly behind the scenes. This world made men like him successful. It helped them get ahead. It did so without being noticed or recognized. Women like her stayed hidden. They were not famous or well known. They just worked hard to make men like him look good. When he said her name quietly in the dark, it was like he was saying a special prayer. She let herself think that maybe love is more powerful than the rules they have to follow. Love might be stronger than the people in charge, until the test, until the silence, until nobody can find out what is going on. No one can know what is really happening. The truth is, it will stay that way until nobody can know. The days that followed became a tough time. Every day was the same. It was very painful. The days that followed were a routine that was hurting me. At the office, the man and the woman were strangers. The man did not look at the woman in meetings. The woman addressed the man formally. Her voice was steady, while her heart was breaking. At night, the man came to the woman's apartment. With apologies and reassurances, he made promises that were carefully chosen to make the woman feel better without saying anything that would get him into trouble. He said that he will take care of everything. The person he is talking to will never need anything, because he will make sure they have everything they need. He wants the person to know that they will always have what they want. She did not need his money. The woman was fine without the money he had. She was able to take care of herself, and his money was not necessary for her. The money he had was not something she needed to have. The woman really needed the man's courage. She was looking for the courage that the man had. The courage of the man was what she needed. The woman did not say a word. Weeks went by. It was getting really tough for her to hide it. She would get morning sickness during meetings. The smell of coffee would make her feel sick to her stomach. Her clothes did not fit her the way anymore. People started whispering about her. At first it was quiet. Then they started talking louder. The whispers about her pregnancy became really clear. Her pregnancy was something that people were talking about. People noticed when women like her changed. It was like they could see the difference in women like her. Women, like her, were not the same anymore. People saw that. People always did that. His world was falling apart. His mother showed up at the office, without warning, looking really classy and distant, talking about the things he was supposed to do and the kind of woman he should marry. She walked by the assistant's desk, not even looking at the woman who was sitting there. Like she was not even there at all. His mother was only thinking about his obligations and suitable matches, things that his mother thought were important for him. That really hurt me, more than anything someone could say to me. The hurt I feel is because of what you did, not because of what you said. Your actions hurt me more than any insult ever could. Because invisibility is its own kind of violence. He became really distant from me. There were nights when he was not there. The messages he sent were very short. They did not really say anything, but at the same time they said a lot. When he finally came back, he came with flowers. He was sorry, but he did not give me any reasons for what happened. He did not have a plan for us. He did not talk about our future together. She realized that she was being asked to go for good. They wanted her to do it quietly, without making a fuss. She had to disappear forever. And the cruel irony was this: the empire that everyone looked up to would actually fall apart if she was not there. Nobody realized this about the empire. The empire would really crumble without her. That is the truth about the empire. The people at the company did not realize that the assistant they did not pay attention to was the one who came up with the mind behind half of the company's most profitable decisions. This assistant was a smart person who made a big difference at the company. The company's profitable decisions were made by this assistant. No one knew that she had been getting ready for a time. She did this quietly and patiently, even before love made things more complicated. Love was not a problem then, but she was still preparing for something. She was preparing for love to come into her life and change everything. No one knew what she was doing. She was doing it anyway, because she knew that love would come someday, and it would complicate things. She was ready for that to happen, because she had been preparing for it silently and patiently for a long time, long before love ever complicated things. But they were about to. Things that are hidden do not stay hidden forever. Secrets have a way of coming out. You can only keep a secret for long before it gets out. This is because secrets do not stay buried forever. And when the truth finally rises, it doesn't ask permission. The rumors did not come in with a lot of noise. The rumors were pretty quiet when they got here. People started talking about the rumors. It was not a big deal at first. The rumors just have showed up, and that is it. The rumors did not make a lot of noise when they arrived. She walked into the office. It was like a big cloud of smoke came in with her. Everything got really quiet. It was hard to breathe. You could not tell where she came from. When she came into a room, people stopped talking. Then they just stopped in the break room. People looked at her body for long, and then they looked away, really fast, like they did something bad. The office was like this when she was around. People did not know what to do when she was near. She was Like smoke, you could not grab her. You did not know where she came from. You did not know what to do with her. Her body was. People were starting to notice. The world was taking notice of the changes in her body. She fixed her blazer for the time that morning. Her fingers were pressing against the fabric. It did not hang the way it used to. The woman in the mirror was someone she hardly knew. She looked calm and professional. The woman in the mirror was hiding something. The mirror in the restroom showed her that she was still in control. She was also carrying something very delicate and strong inside her. She was a woman with a strength, and the mirror showed her that. The woman in the mirror was still her. She was different now. She was a woman with a lot of feelings and thoughts that she kept to herself. The mirror reflected that. The mirror showed her that she was still the woman, but she was also someone new. One of my colleagues said to me, "You have lost weight in your face." And they said it like it was no deal. Someone else said, "You do not drink coffee anymore." Someone said to me, "You have been going to the restroom a lot." They did not even try to speak. The woman smiled. Then she nodded her head. After that, the woman said that she was fine. The woman really seemed to be fine when she said it. She had figured out how to be invisible at time before she got pregnant, and everyone started noticing her. The thing about pregnancy is that it makes people see the woman who's pregnant, and that is what happened to her. Pregnancy forced people to look at her. She had already mastered the art of being invisible. Before that, what hurt wasn't the gossip. It was the silence from him. In meetings, he would talk right over her ideas without saying where he got them from. He did not even say thank you when she fixed the projections that would have caused big problems. When she corrected the projections, he just accepted the fix without even looking at her. The late night conversations between them became shorter, and they did not happen often. It was like they thought that being apart would make their problems go away. The financial projections were a deal, and she had saved them from disaster. But he did not seem to care about the financial projections or her feelings. At night, she would lie awake with one hand on her stomach, trying to figure out when caring about someone she loved had become about forgetting who she was as a person. She thought about loving someone and how it had changed her life. Now she was wondering when loving someone had turned into erasing her own identity, her own thoughts and her own feelings, and it was all about loving someone. The first public crack came out of nowhere. It really caught people off guard. This was the moment when everything started to change. The first public crack was something that nobody saw coming. It had a big impact on everyone. People were talking about the public crack and how it happened so suddenly. The woman was in a meeting with a lot of people, like the executives and investors, when she started to feel really sick. She got a sweat on her back, and the things on the screen in front of her started to get blurry. The woman had to get out of there. So she said, "Excuse me," and quickly got up and went to the bathroom. She barely made it to the bathroom before she got sick. The meeting and the executives and investors were still there, but the woman was in the bathroom feeling awful. She did not notice the silence that she left behind When she was gone, the silence was something that she left behind. She did not hear the whispers when someone muttered, "That is not stress." She did not see his jaw tighten, as the realization spread across the room fast, like when a big fire gets out of control. The realization of what was happening was over the room, and it was moving quickly just like wildfire. When she came back, she looked pale. She was calm. The room felt weird, like people were waiting to see what would happen. She did a job with the rest of the meeting, answering tough questions in a very clear way. She even saved the thing when it was not going well by thinking of something that no one else had thought of. The meeting was about to fail. She came up with an idea that fixed everything. People could only see her stomach. That is all, they saw her stomach. Then his mother showed up again. This time the woman stopped. She looked down at the assistant's stomach for a moment. It was like she did it on purpose. Then she smiled in a way that seemed like she knew a secret. The woman told me that I should be careful. She said this in a calm way. "Appearances matter when you work for this company," she said. "The company is a place where people notice how you look and what you do." It wasn't advice. It was a warning. That night he did not come. No text. No call. Just silence. By the day, the fear started to go away and things became clear. The woman asked to see someone in a meeting. She wanted to talk to this person. The woman requested a meeting so she could discuss something quietly. He walked in late and closed the door behind him. It was like they were in a place or something. She did not yell at him. She did not cry either. She just talked to him in a voice, asking him things she had not asked before. She had been waiting for a time to ask these questions, like months. What happens when people find out the truth about something? People usually get really upset or surprised when they discover a secret. The people who were hiding the truth can get into a lot of trouble when people find out. I think people have a right to know the truth. It is good when people find out what is really going on. When does later become never? Are you ashamed of me or of yourself? He did not answer directly. He talked about the pressure that people feel. He also talked about legacy, the things that people leave behind. Then he mentioned timing, which is when you do something. The pressure and the legacy, and the timing, these are all things that he spoke about. For the first time, she saw the man not as a powerful person who was stuck in a bad situation, but as the man who was picking what was easy over being brave. The man was choosing to do what felt good, of doing what was right. She saw the man in a new way. That night, something really changed. It was like everything was different all of a sudden. That night, something shifted inside of me. That night, I felt it. She completely stopped waiting for something to happen. The woman stopped waiting. What nobody knew, what he never even asked, was that a time before she started working for him as his assistant, she was already working on something that belonged to her. She was doing this quietly and in a smart way. She would do it every night when it was late. She would do it with all the things she did that people did not notice. She would do it with all the ideas of hers that people said were not good in front of others. Then they would use those ideas when they were alone. The woman had kept all these records for a time. She had kept these records in a place. The woman had kept the records. The company had a lot of things like emails and projections. There were also contracts that she had rewritten in her handwriting. She was able to save some deals because she noticed things that other people did not see. The thing is, she really understood the company well, even better than a lot of the people on the board. And that is because she had helped to build the company from the beginning. The woman had never needed to borrow money from anyone. She was happy with what she had and never required credit. The woman had always managed to get by without needing credit. Until now. The humiliation got really bad fast. The humiliation just kept getting worse and worse. Someone made a complaint to the HR department about her conduct. They did not say who made the complaint. As a result, she was not allowed to go to some meetings. They slowly started to take parts of her job. It was like they wanted to make her disappear so that the problem she was talking about would go away. The problem that she represented was still there. They were trying to erase her, the person who was talking about the problem, instead of solving the actual problem. The last thing that happened was when they made this announcement. The final blow really came in the form of this announcement. His engagement. The email was sent to everyone in the company at 9:02 a.m. Warm congratulations. Strategic alliance. Stability for the future. The woman read the book one time. She looked at the words in the book one time. The book was read by the woman one time. Then again. Then placed her hand over her stomach and breathed. People congratulated him loudly. He smiled at her in a way. Then he avoided looking into her eyes. Nobody ever asked her how she felt. She just had to deal with everything on her own. The woman had a lot of emotions. Nobody cared about her feelings. Nobody stopped to ask her what was going on with the woman. The woman who was being quietly pushed aside was actually the reason the company had not fallen apart years earlier. This woman was the one who had been keeping the company going. The company had not collapsed years earlier because of this woman. She was the reason everything was still in place. The woman was very important to the company. That evening she packed a box from her desk. She put things in the box that were on her desk. The box was for the things that she needed to take with her. She was taking the things from her desk, putting them in the box so she could take the box with her when she left. Not in anger. In preparation. She turned in her resignation. Did it in a very professional way. It is effective right now. He did not stop her. The man sat there. He watched. He kept watching. The man did not look away. He just watched. The weight of his choices was really starting to sink in for the time. It was like he could feel the weight of his decisions, the things he had chosen to do. It was a heavy feeling. The weight of his choices was something he had not really thought about before. Now, it was all he could think about. She walked out of the building. She did not look back. The city air was cold on her skin. Her heart was pounding. It was not because she was scared. It was because she had made up her mind about something. The city air was really cold, against her skin. She had a lot of resolve. She was not disappearing. She was stepping into the light. It was a nice feeling for her to be doing this. The light was very pretty. It made her feel happy. She liked the light a lot. Stepping into the light was something she had wanted to do for a time. Now that she was finally doing it, she felt very good about the light. When the truth finally comes out, it will be really hard to believe the truth. The truth is just going to be so shocking that people will have a time accepting the truth. It would arrive undeniable. The company felt the loss before they really understood what the loss was. The loss had an impact on the company. The company did not know what to do about the loss at first. The loss was something that the company had to deal with. The company had to figure out how to move forward from the loss. At first, it was really subtle. There were things that were not quite right, like reports that were missing some details, and meeting that went on for a long time without anything being decided. The numbers just did not add up either. The executive said it was because people were tired. The consultant said it was because the market was being unpredictable. Nobody thought about the assistant who had left without making any fuss or trouble, the quiet assistant who had just vanished. She had left behind a space that nobody could really describe right away. The absence she had left was something that nobody could immediately name. It was the absence of her that people felt. The first big deal fell apart on a Tuesday morning. The investors were nice. They did not change their minds. They walked away after they found mistakes in the company plans that used to be perfect. Then the company made another deal. Then they made a third deal. The people on the board of the company got really upset. They had a lot of emergency meetings that filled up their schedules. The people in charge of the company did not sound confident like they used to. The way they talked became sharp and tense. The company plans were a problem for the investors, and now they were a big problem for the company too. The man saw it. He really did notice. The thing that was there, he saw it for sure. He started staying again, not to seek comfort, but to fix the things that kept breaking. The things that kept breaking were a problem for him. He searched through lots of files, emails, and old notes. What he found out was that she had made a lot of decisions before they even got to his desk. He was looking at the emails and files, thinking about the things that she had decided. The decisions were about the things that kept breaking. He had not just lost the person he loved. The person he loved was really gone. He had lost the person who was special. To him, the person he cared about, the person he loved. The man had lost the mind that kept his empire stable and strong. He was no longer the person who had built and controlled his empire with such care and attention. His empire was what was important to him. Now he had lost the mind that steadied his empire. She was working on something at the same time. This other thing was taking shape. She was building something. She did not disappear after she resigned from her job. She moved to a place and started living a different kind of life. The woman's days were not busy like before, they were slow. She had to go to the doctor a lot. She also had to plan everything. At night, the woman was busy. With papers and numbers, she was talking to lawyers, having long talks with people who wanted her to work with them. These people thought she was very smart a time. Before the company she used to work for realized it. The woman was talking to people who had tried to get her to work with them before. She had not burned any bridges with the people she used to know. The relationships she had with them were still okay. She was on terms with the people from her past, like her old friends and coworkers, the people at her old job, her old boss, and everyone else she used to see every day at the office, including her old colleagues and acquaintances, her old friends from the company, and all the other people she met while she was at the company, the people she worked with, and the people she worked for, including the management and staff at her old workplace. She wrote down all the things about the documents. The documents were very important to her, so she made sure to document them. Every time she stayed up late to fix something. Every time nobody noticed what she did. Every time someone took credit for her work and said it was their idea. She put all the proof together carefully. Not because she wanted to get back at anyone, but because she wanted to protect herself. When people do not think much of you, for a time you start to understand how important it is to show them the truth about the things you can do. This is because being underestimated for long teaches you that you need to provide proof of what you are capable of. And that is what the value of proof is all about. It is about showing people the real value of your abilities by giving them proof. The engagement announcement was really exciting at first. It did not take long for the excitement to wear off. The engagement announcement just was not as big of a deal after a while. People stopped talking about the engagement announcement. It was no longer interesting. The engagement announcement lost its appeal. That was that. People did not clap anymore. They just whispered to each other. The people who studied the company questioned if the leaders were really in control. The newspapers started to investigate, not in a way at first, but because they were curious. The story that the leaders told had some holes in it. Reporters love to find holes in stories. The reporters love to find out the truth about the leaders and the story they tell. So they kept looking into the cracks in the narrative about the leadership. The gala was really something. It finally. What an event the gala was. The gala was a deal. The annual charity event was meant to make people feel better about things. It was a show of everyone looking nice and being in charge. He showed up with his fiancée, and cameras started taking pictures. They were both smiling in a way that looked like they had practiced it. The people who had given money were clapping. The board of directors was happy with what they saw. People thought about stability. They really thought that stability was important. Stability is what they were looking for. Everything stopped until she arrived. She did not come to disrupt. The woman came to the place because the woman had been invited to the event. The woman had received an invitation. That is why the woman decided to come. Her name was on the list of people who were going to speak at this event about an initiative. This new initiative was being paid for by an investment group that really liked the ideas she came up with on her own. They had sent her an invitation a time ago, before people figured out what was going on with the new initiative. and the investment group and her. When she walked into the ballroom changed all of a sudden. The ballroom was different now. Not because she was flashy, because she was unmistakably calm. She had on a dress, and it showed everyone what people had been talking about. People stopped talking all of a sudden. Some people even stopped drinking, just held their glasses. Everyone turned to look at her. The Microsoft people and the people. From Google, they all looked surprised. Their eyes got really wide. She wore a dress. And it was like people had been waiting to see what the rumors were saying about her dress. It finally dawned on me. Then I realized what was going on. Recognition hit. The assistant. The person who vanished is the one who disappeared. This is about the one who disappeared. The one now visibly pregnant. She walked up to the stage. She did it with a lot of calmness. She said, "Thank you to the people who invited her." She also said hello to the people she works with. When she talked, she was very clear. She sounded like she really knew what she was talking about. People listened to her because they wanted to, not because they had to. She talked about growth. She talked about development. She talked about leadership, and she said that leaders should be responsible for what they do. That is what she meant by leadership, rooted in accountability. She said leaders should be accountable. She talked like someone who had built things before. This was clear from the way she spoke about building things. Her voice was full of confidence. When she talked about building things, it was like she had built things times before. People actually listened to what was being said. The people were really paying attention. People took the time to hear the message. He just stood there not moving, as the truth was coming out fast. His fiancée saw that. He was tense, that he was suddenly very interested in something, and that his attention was over the place. The truth about his fiancée and the situation was, the truth was affecting him deeply. His fiancée was watching him, noticing the way the truth was changing him, and the way his attention was fractured. The truth was really getting to him. Then the questions began. A journalist asked about her background. Then another journalist asked about the job she had before. Somebody brought up the fact that she left her job really quickly. Somebody else asked, in a careful way, about the timing of everything related to her previous role, and her background, and the job she had before, and when she left that job. She did not flinch. The woman gave a response, with facts. She used facts to answer the question. The woman's answer was full of facts. She talked about what she went, the things she did to help, the point when she decided to leave, because people were questioning if she was doing the thing. She did not say his name. She did not need to say his name, because it was pretty clear who she was talking about. The woman was talking about her experience and the things that happened to her. She was talking about her contributions, what she had to deal with. The room was able to figure things out by itself. It made connections between things that were not very clear at first. That was really something. The room connected the dots on its own. That was pretty amazing to see. By morning, the story was everywhere. Not as gossip, as revelation. The headlines did not call her a mistress. People called her a strategist. She was known as a strategist. The woman was referred to as a strategist. People did not call him a betrayer. People said that he was exposed. The board wanted to know what was going on. Investors wanted the company to take responsibility for its actions. His engagement to be married became a problem, quickly, with people looking at it like a business decision, rather than a decision made because he was in love. The engagement was seen as a thing for the company, and people were questioning his motives for getting engaged. The board and investors were not happy with him. His engagement was the reason why. His engagement was being looked at closely, and people were wondering if he really loved the person he was engaged to, or if he just wanted to make a good impression. The engagement was a deal, and it was causing a lot of trouble for him and the company. The man tried to reach the woman. He wanted to talk to the woman. The woman was someone he really wanted to talk to, so the man tried to reach the woman. She did not answer. She was busy. Her proposal was something people used to think was too big to work. Now people were talking about the proposal in rooms where she was not allowed to go. The proposal started to get a lot of money. People began to support the proposal. The proposal got respect. People were being honest about how they felt about the proposal. The pregnancy was no longer a secret. It was part of her truth. For the first time, she did not carry the burden by herself. The company came out with a statement. They did it again. Each new statement from the company was weaker than the statement from the company before it. By the end of the week, the company made some changes to the leadership team. These leadership changes were: everyone was talking about them, the leadership changes that were made. He stood behind the glass walls, looked out at the world. The world was changing. It was becoming clear that the woman they wanted to forget was actually the one they needed. She was the base that everything else was built on. The world had depended on this woman along, and karma did not rush. It arrived precisely on time. The downfall was quiet. No dramatic shouting. No public arrest. No viral scandal caught on camera. Just doors closing. The board members just stopped calling him back. People who had invested money in the company started to pull, saying they were just restructuring. The announcement that he was getting married was taken down from the company website. Nobody said why. His fiancée put out a statement saying they had differences that could not be fixed. She left him doing it in a very calm and respectful way, but also making it clear she was done with him. He was standing by himself in a room that was usually full of people clapping for him. This was a thing for him, being alone in a place where he used to get a lot of applause. The room was empty and quiet now, which was really different from what he was used to. He was used to the sound of people cheering for him. Now there was nothing. He stood there alone in a room that was once full of applause for him. Then, all of a sudden, everyone remembered this woman. People remembered who had stayed late when deals were falling apart. They recalled who had warned about risks that were ignored. They knew who had quietly fixed problems without taking credit for the deals. The absence of this person was no longer an idea. It was something that could actually be measured. The losses just kept adding up. The board decided to get some help, and they commissioned an independent review. They wanted to make sure this review was done by people who were not part of the board. The board was looking for a review. That was the moment when the truth became really clear, and you could not ignore it anymore. The truth about everything just became unavoidable. Some emails came to light. The timelines all matched up. Every path that was taken led back to her name. This happened over and over. The patterns were really clear. The things that people thought he had done were actually done by the woman he had asked to keep a profile. The woman was the one who had made a lot of things happen. Her name kept coming up in the emails and the timelines. The board's conclusion was swift and devastating. Leadership change. Effective immediately. No scandal. No forgiveness tour. Just removal. He packed up his office. Without saying a word, his hands were shaking, as he figured out what it means to have power. How fast it can go away when you are standing on what other people have done. The power he had was not really his, it was built on the work of other people. The man gave it one shot. He really did try one last time. The man showed up at her door. He came to her place. Stood at the door. The man was standing at her door. She opened it really calmly. Her hand was resting on her stomach. She was standing up straight. Did not seem scared of the thing. She was opening the thing that was in front of her, the thing that was now open. The man told her that he never meant to hurt her. He said this to the woman. The man said that he did not want to hurt the woman. He told the woman that he never meant to hurt the woman. The woman really trusted what the man was saying. She thought the man was telling her the truth. The woman had faith in the man. That did not change anything. She said, "You did not protect me." She said, "You protected what was comfortable for you." The man asked if there was anything the man could do to help with the situation. He wanted to know if the man could do something to make things better. The man was looking for a way to assist with the problem that the man was facing. The woman gave an answer. She told the truth. The woman was honest when she replied, "No." Sometimes people do not get the closure they need from making up with someone. Closure is not always about reconciliation. You can get closure from things like moving on with your life. And that is what closure is all about, finding a way to be okay with what happened, and that is closure. Sometimes things come from being recognized. The recognition is what makes the difference. Recognition of the things that we do is what matters. Months later, she was standing in a different building. One that she had a big part in designing and paying for and running. Her name was actually on the door now. It was not as an assistant that her name was there. It was not as someone who just followed others around that her name was on the door. She was the one in charge, and her name was on the door as the founder. Her company's mission wasn't revenge. It was reform, ethical development, transparent leadership, fair credit, fair opportunity. She hired women who were a lot like her, the kind of person that nobody had stood up for. She made sure that nobody had to go in order to survive. She wanted to make sure that people did not have to disappear to survive. The idea was that people should be able to live without having to disappear to survive. The birth of her child was peaceful, quiet, powerful. When people asked her how she managed to get through all the things that happened to her, like being humiliated and betrayed, and having to deal with silence, she always said the same thing. People wanted to know how she survived all that. She always gave the same answer. I stopped waiting for people to tell me. It is okay to be myself. I do not need anyone to give me permission to exist. I am done waiting for others to say I can do something. I am just going to do it. I am going to live my life the way I want to live it. I am going to exist. I do not need permission from anyone to do that. Existing is what people like me do. I am not going to wait for someone to tell me that it is okay to be a person and exist. As for him, he became a part of someone else's big achievement. People in the business world see him as a warning. The story of his life shows that when you take power without being respectful, you will have to pay for it. And karma? Karma did not scream. It simply restored balance,